Namaste. I'm Dr. Ki McGraw, and I'm here with the Hatha Yoga Center to bring through some important information about low back health. It's been the case for me for many years as an instructor of Hatha Yoga that I've learned some basic principles about how to maintain a healthy low back, and I just wanted to share that with you today. It's often the case that we are, in our fast-paced society, needing to move quickly, to pick things up and move them around, and in doing so we very rarely pause to think about how we're using the instrument of our physical body. And as such, as many chiropractors would have informed all of you about for years and years, it's really important when we move or lift heavy objects, of course, to bend our knees, as well as to maintain a very neutral spine. And as such, I wanted to bring through a couple of principles that might help you understand just how it is to maintain a neutral spine by engaging the body at its depth in the core, posteriorly in the back. So with me today, I just want to utilize this partial skeleton that is a skeleton of the spine and the pelvis. So it's just the axial skeleton. You'll see part of the pelvis here and the sacrum, as well as the vertebrae, and then just the very base of the skull. So you can start to orient yourself here. You'll see that in the area of the vertebrae, we have the posterior prominent of the spinous process itself, and then on the sides of each vertebrae you'll see the transverse process. And there are, as I lay this down for you to take a look at, just want to bring through that there are tiny muscles that run between one spinous process and the next spinous process up, and those are called the spinalis muscles. And there are the tiny muscles that run from one transverse process to one transverse process, and those are the intertransversi muscles. In addition, there are muscles that run from one transverse process up a level of 3 or 4 or 5 of the spinous processes, which are the multifidi. And so taken together, the interspinalis, the intertransversi, as well as the multifidi, and then the rotatories, which are just a level of one transverse process to a spinous process. All of those together are within the spine, from a spinal process to another spinal process. And so as such, they're together called the paraspinal muscles, and they exist in rather a chevron-like hatching entirely through the entire spine, all the way up to the base of the skull. And when these muscles are engaged, the net effect, when they're engaged in a totality altogether, is that it results in the tailbone lifting, a subtle nutation of the sacrum with respect to the rest of the pelvis, and the spine comes into a subtle extension. Now, why that's helpful is because the problem we get into largely in the spine is with the anterior portion of the discs. So now I've just picked up this axial skeleton and I've turned it so you can see what you can't see in a regular person's body, and that's, we've taken out the abdominal contents, and so you're looking right at the front of the back. And this is the anterior or front part of the spine, and you can see in between the vertebrae that there is a jelly-like disc, and the disc is vulnerable, especially anteriorly. That means the front part of the discs bear the weight when we bend forward like this in a forward flexed position in the spine, and that puts undue pressure on the discs, and over time that pressure on the discs can cause drying, slipping, cracking, herniation, bulging, etc. And along the way we might get pressure on one or another of the spinal nerves. It is towards that end that we wish to lift up the tailbone to engage the muscles to surround the spine so that we can have a happy, healthy, neutral lumbar curve, and that's what will help to save our backs. And it's in this way I wanted to bring this material through to you so you might bring that to life as you're moving around in your fast-paced world and carrying things and lifting and shifting, as well as in any of the exercises you participate in, whether it's Hatha Yoga with us at the Hatha Yoga Center or any place that you wish. Thank you so much.